This is our league, and this is your league. From the 55-yard line on CFL America Radio and the Sports History Network.
Welcome you to the first half of Grey Cup 1959. And now, here's Ward Cornell.
Good afternoon, everyone. And to those of you west of Winnipeg, good morning. This is Ward Cornell, along with Hal Walker, John Kearns, and your play-by-play commentators, Steve Douglas and Ted Reynolds, speaking from the Canadian National Exhibition Stadium in Toronto and welcoming you to Grey Cup 59. This afternoon, the third meeting in 3 years between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. In 1957, these two teams met and Hamilton won the famous cup. Last year at Empire Stadium in Vancouver, the Blue Bombers won 35-28 in one of the most thrilling games in Grey Cup history. So today's game is the rubber match between Jim Crimble's Ticats and Bud Grant's Bombers. Many of you are viewing the CNE Stadium for the first time. The field here in Toronto runs east and west. Our CBC telecasting crew and cameras are situated on the north side atop the 21,000-seat grandstand. Across the way, the newly built South Stand, capable of holding slightly over 12,000 people. And there should be a minimum of 33,113 people on hand because at last count, that's how many tickets have been sold. The weatherman, after dour and foreboding prophecies all week, has been most obliging. It's a bright, sunshiny day with a slight breeze blowing from the west off of Lake Ontario. The breeze doesn't seem to be strong enough to affect the kicking in any serious way. There was some snow overnight, but the groundsmen have it well cleared from the field and from the open stands. The temperature in the low 30s. All week long, there has been lots of talk about the field. Commentators, reporters, football officials, civic officials, just about everybody, and the general public included, live Grey Cup week in dread that the field on Saturday will be like it was that dreadful November Saturday in 1950 when the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and Toronto Argos slithered, slipped, and nearly drowned at Varsity Stadium. Well, the fears of this week, prompted by rain, snow, and tarpaulin squabbles, were unnecessary. The field is in fairly good shape. The snow this morning has been cleared off. The soft spots, and there aren't too many, were filled with a mixture of sand and sawdust and then covered with dust veins, which has proved very effective this year in making slippery fields a little less greasy. The bad spots are mainly located just in front of each of the players' benches and in patches between the 5 and 20-yard lines in front of each goalpost. Both coaches early today walked the field and were not disappointed. This Grey Cup, like all of them since 1948, has been filled with lots of excitement and color. Toronto was a fairly quiet city till late Thursday and again yesterday when the trains from the west started arriving. Since that time, the excitement has been building and won't reach its climax till the kickoff a few minutes from now. There'll be lots of pre-game color with the Ticat Band and Majorettes, the arrival of Miss Grey Cup, 18-year-old Ann Finlayson, who was Miss BC, and finally the arrival of the official party. But the most important people, as you can see, have already arrived, the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. For comment on the current champions, how they feel about today, the big one, is one of today's play-by-play commentators, Vancouver's Ted Reynolds.
Hello, everybody. Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers we're looking at right now are probably as healthy a football team as has ever played in a Grey Cup game. Since the 26th of October, when they played their final league game against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, they have had to take the field, meaning business, only twice. In the two playoff games, both of which they won, of course, against the Edmonton Eskimos. And apart from the fact that they are without the star of last year's game, quarterback Jimmy Van Pelt, who was seriously injured in a late-season game against Edmonton, they are, some people in the East say, disgustingly healthy. In Kenny Plain, they have the fellow who quarterbacked their club in the losing cause here against Hamilton 2 years ago. And if anybody coming out of the West came with a mission this year, it was this man Plain, and particularly his teammate, the former All-Star Canadian fullback Jerry James. Those two have not yet forgotten the bad afternoon that they didn't enjoy here at Varsity Stadium 2 years ago, and they know they're healthy this year. They have come to show the East that was not their best day. Only one change from published lineups. It's a switch in the primarily defensive core of the Winnipeg team, and they will have Nick Miller dressed. He is a fullback offensively and a deep back defensively, and Tony Kerr, the Canadian fullback who played a lot of ball for Winnipeg in their victorious game against this Hamilton club out at Empire Stadium in Vancouver last year, is not dressed. Otherwise, no changes in the long-published Winnipeg lineup, and this is an exceptionally healthy Winnipeg club that we're watching right now, wearing their white with blue numbers and their gold pants. This is your Grey Cup football telecast coming to you from the Canadian National Exhibition Stadium in Toronto.
Ward Cornell again from the CNE Stadium in Toronto. And now for a look at the Eastern champions, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Here's your other commentator for this afternoon's game, Steve Douglas.
Okay, Ward. Hello, everybody. Insofar as the Hamilton Ticats are concerned, the ball club very badly, of course, wants to win back the Grey Cup that it took a couple of years ago by 32-7, and then lost last year in that slam-bang, high-scoring affair, 35-28. Offensively speaking, well, Bernie Filoni, who has learned a great deal about the passing attack in football in recent years, shoots for ends Decker and Lampman and Jones, Howell and Grant in the backfield particularly. Sometimes he pitches out in the flat to big fullback Jerry McDougall. Hamilton running depends to quite a degree on the condition of this field. Ward Cornell described it to you very accurately just a few minutes ago. The ball carriers to watch for in the Hamilton attack on the ground would be the same Jerry McDougall, Ralph Goldston, and Dwayne Wood. Defensively, this is the big thing with the Hamilton Ticats. They have a tremendous defensive unit, stopped a very good running team in the Ottawa Rough Riders in the Eastern Big Four finals. And the Bombers, of course, are very likely to test the Hamilton defense very severely today because Winnipeg possesses one of the greatest outside running attacks across the country. And the Ticats might have to give up a little bit in order to contain the Bombers outside. Then I presume that Shepard and James, on behalf of Winnipeg in particular, would be driving up the middle. Cam Fraser, who led the Big Four punters with a 45-plus average, will be in there as usual. Ward, we've got some officials gathering together down there. You take it over, boy.
We have the team captains of both the Bombers and the Hamilton Tiger Cats with the referee, so it's down to the field for the toss.
I'm referee Paul Dojak. The senior umpire is Mr. Seymour Wilson. The captains for the Hamilton team are Mr. Filoni, number 92, Mr. Honestchuk, number 81. The captains for Winnipeg are Mr. Tinsley, number 64, Mr. Gray, number 53. Now, the toss of the coin shall be called by Black. You'll call the coin, all toss. Winnipeg wins the toss. Your choice. Winnipeg will receive. Your choice of ends. You'll defend that goal.
Ward Cornell back up top, and there you met them. Herb Gray, Buddy Tinsley of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and they're dressed in the gold pants with the white sweaters and the blue numerals, and they've headed off now to the dressing room. And Steve Honestchuk, number 81, and Bernie Filoni, number 92 of the Hamilton Tiger Cats meeting. And as you could see, the Hamilton Tiger Cats will do the kicking, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will receive. A very interesting aspect of the game here in the East in the past 2 weeks, or rather the latter part of the season, and we don't know if this is typical of what might have been happening out west this year or not, but on 2 different occasions and in a very key game last week against the Ottawa Rough Riders, Jim Trimble, having his choice, elected to kick off rather than receive. And in the past few years, it's been the trend of coaches to get possession of the football, and then you can score. However, Trimble, counting on his defensive unit, elected to kick off in the second half last week when he had the choice, thinking that his defensive unit could contain the Rough Riders and then they would be in a good position to score. And that, of course, is what eventually happened. And we'll see today whether this strategy keeps up in the second half if it's a tight, tense ball game. The referees for today, Paul Dojak of Regina, Seymour Wilson of Hamilton is number 1 umpire, Bill Nairn of Winnipeg is umpire number 2, Johnny Monroe of Toronto, umpire number 3, Ray Boucher of Ottawa is the field judge, and Taylor Patterson of Regina is the head linesman. Well, just before we went down to the field, Steve Douglas was in the midst of his comments on the Hamilton Tiger Cats for a complete summary of that team. Here's Steve again.
Ward, I was talking about the fact that if the Hamilton Ball Club was able to contain the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, one of the great strong attacking teams in running outside, then probably it would be Shepard and James in particular up the middle. Of course, going up the middle, a Winnipeg ball carrier will run smack into one of the great veterans of Canadian football, playing his 10th year insofar as the Hamilton football scene is concerned, formerly with Notre Dame and the Buffalo Bills, Vince Scott, an old Golden Dome, as he is affectionately known here in the East, has played once again this year just plain tremendous football in a defensive sense. The Ticats have improved very greatly on their linebacking spots this year. They have Eddie Bell, picked up from the National Football League at left corner. They have Ernie Dangine at left inside. He was with the Packers in the National Football League. They have Jim Taylor, also from the NFL, at the right inside linebacking spot. And most likely to start out in his accustomed place is co-captain Steve Onischuk, who injured his shoulder a few weeks back, laid off active duties on the gridiron completely, but then came back for a few place kicks and conversions, and finally, in the last couple of games, did a pretty good job insofar as backing that right corner spot was concerned, in spite of the fact that his shoulder was very heavily taped and wearing a special harness for the occasion. In deep defensive strength, the Ticats still have a man very well known from coast to coast in Canada. Those of you who followed CBC television coverage of last year's game from Vancouver well remember Ralph Goldston. He has incidentally switched his number this year. If you keep thinking about number 88 as Ralph Goldston last year, then you'll have to do a little marking on your private schedule wherever you may be watching this ball game and check it out this year as number 80. Dwayne Wood, who is a rookie with the Ticats from Oklahoma State University, has proved to be a great addition to the ball club, both on offense and defense, and is one of the other deep men, and the veteran Eddie Macon is the other man who winds up the deep defensive strength of the Hamilton Ticats. I don't know, Ward, and I think Ted will agree, sitting right beside me here as we very anxiously await the start at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, that this perhaps is one of the better toss-up Grey Cup ball games that we have had the prospect of looking forward to for quite a few years. There was a great upset back in 1954 when Edmonton started that string against the Montreal Alouettes in Parker's electrifying run of something like 85 yards on that still much bruited about Hunsinger lateral or fumble, as you happen to agree or disagree with the situation. That was a big upset. Since then, things have gone perhaps reasonably well, according to Hoyle. Last year, the Ticats picked up that 14-point lead early in the ball game, and then it was an up-and-down game from then on. And, Ted, I don't know, the way things worked out in Vancouver last year, would you agree that that was perhaps the best ball game maybe you've ever seen, let alone a Grey Cup game?
I think that's pretty well agreed all across Canada, Steve. No matter who won that ball game last year, the conditions were just about as good as they could possibly be, and the football was thrilling from the time the opening whistle sounded till the time the closing gun went. I don't think there was anything you could expect or hope to see at any football game that you didn't see in that one last year. And with these same two clubs, both of them healthier than they were last year, both pretty well rested, and with the field in the condition it's in, though it gets getting a little bit greasy now. I think that we can look forward to another thriller this afternoon.
Well, both coaches are at times reticent about commenting on the outcome of the game, but both have agreed very definitely it's going to be a ball game that will give the fans perhaps their biggest thrill yet. This is your Grey Cup football telecast coming to you from the Canadian National Exhibition Stadium in Toronto.
Ward Cornell again, back at Grey Cup 59 in Toronto from the CNE Stadium. And the Hamilton Tiger Cat marching band just completing a maneuver in the center of the field, marching down to the end zone at the west end. The color guard still out in front of the Grey Cup game. And now for a look at the defensive lineup for both teams. First with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, here's Ted Reynolds.
Fred Ward. For the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the front line is anchored by veteran middle guard Steve Patrick. He wears number 63, weighs 230 pounds. The defensive ends are on the left end, number 53, a Western All-Star, Herb Gray. The right end, number 78, is Ron Meadmore. The tackles on the left, Roger Savoy, number 62, and the defensive right tackle, a 10-year veteran with the Winnipeg club, almost a perennial defensive all-star in the West, and the defensive captain of the Winnipeg club. And the Winnipeg club, 6'4" and 245 pounds. Backing the line, the left corner is Burkholder, number 52, and Warren, number 44. On the right corner is Rowan, and if he drops back to defensive back, will probably be replaced today on the corner by Miller. The deep backs on the left, Norm Rawhouse, number 70. On the right, Ray Ross, number 79. Safety will be either Kenny Plain, possibly Ray Ross, or Roland might drop back. But it's very, very probable this afternoon that Kenny Plain, as well as going offensively as the signal caller, will see some action defensively, as he is one of the outstanding safety men in Western Canadian football.
Now for a look at the Ticats defensively, here is Steve Douglas.
Along the line for the Ticats, defensively, at left end, Don Paquette, number 52. At left tackle, another great Ticat veteran, Eddie Bevan, number 51. We mentioned earlier the middle guard, Vince Scott, 53. The right tackle, John Barrow, number 61. And at right end, Pete Newman, number 74. The linebackers at the left corner, Bell, number 77. Left inside is Dan Jean, 54. Right inside is Taylor, 44. And the right corner is co-captain Steve Honestchuk, number 81. And the deep backs will be Macon, number 90. Probably Wood, number 84, although there may be a change there. And at right, in the deep line, would be Ralph Goldston, number 80, to complete the probable starting lineup on defense for the Hamilton Ticats.
In the center of the field now, the official party has arrived. The Prime Minister, John Diefenbaker, is being presented now, or rather the players are being presented to the Prime Minister, and these are the Shenley Award winners. Number 64, Johnny Bright. Number 82, dressed in the cardinal red and white of the Ottawa Rough Riders, is Russ Jackson, voted the most outstanding Canadian player. And then number 66 in the green and gold of Edmonton is the outstanding lineman in the country, Roger Nelson. Standing to the right of the Prime Minister, Mayor Phillips of Toronto, and others in the group, there is the Commissioner of Football, Sidney Halter, to the top. Mayor Steve Juba there, Mayor Lloyd Jackson, Mayor Juba, of course, of Winnipeg, Lloyd Jackson of Hamilton, and other football officials gathered around in the center of the field. The officials that come out on the field, we're going to have the traditional kickoff in just a few moments, and then the actual kickoff to the game. And now the players are being introduced individually offensively. Here's Ted Reynolds.
First man out for Winnipeg on their offensive team is their center, George Drucksmann. The left guard is Cornell Piper, number 58. The right guard, number 56, Ed Kotowich. The left tackle, number 67, is Frank Rigney. The right tackle, number 52, is Dave Burkholder. The left end, wearing number 71, joining the club after the start of the season, Farrell Funston. The right end is the all-star offensive end in the West this year, number 77, Ernie Pitts. Starting offensively at left half, number 29, the man they call the Lincoln Locomotive, Leo Lewis. On the other side of the half line, wearing number 22, is Carver Shannon. The left fullback, number 21, and the punter on this club as well is Charlie Shepard. On the other side, number 28, a former Canadian Player of the Year, Jerry James. And the quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, number 11, is Kenny Plain. That's the Winnipeg offensive starting unit.
And now,
here we
with
go
the Tiger
now.
Cats.
All right, Ward. Here we go now with the starting lineup for the Hamilton Ticats. Ernie Danjean, number 54, being introduced first as the starting center today. Eddie Bevan, number 51. Right guard, number 64, Wisconsin University product, Dave Szyminski. Number 53, Vince Scott. Number 61 is John Barrow, who was the Hamilton representative in the voting for the lineman of the year. Here's Big Paul Decker, number 75, joining his teammates out there. And at the other side of the flanking spots, Harry Lampman, number 73. Tommy Grant comes out now, number 86, from Windsor, Ontario. Here's the co-captain, University of Toronto boy, Steve Honestchuk. And then Ralph Goldston, number 80. And the flying wing, as he is introduced in the public address system here, is Ron Howell, number 82. And here's the master of magic at the quarterback spot, Bernie Filoni, number 92. That is the introduced starting lineup offensively for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
What we can look forward to today offensively from these two teams, well, it's hard to say because there should be some surprises. The Bombers work mainly out of a double fullback or a wing tee. Ted Reynolds tells me that they'll sometimes use an expanded wing tee with the end split way out wide. Rumor, of course, that they might move into some single wing with some single wing blocking. For the Ticats, they'll pretty well stick to their double fullback. They have a tee. They also use an unusual spread formation, the Lonely Filoni formation, where Bernie Filoni stands deep. The fullbacks and the halfbacks are flanked out to the right and to the left. And, of course, Filoni can pass from the deep spot, or he can roll off and run, or he can roll off and pass. Whether there'll be any surprises today thrown by Jim Trimble, well, we'll have to wait and see. The traditional kickoff now coming up. The Prime Minister, intent on doing a great job here, has taken off his top coat. Johnny Bright, number 24, who incidentally made a tremendous impression on everyone here in Toronto, everyone in Edmonton. Well, we don't need to tell you. You already know what a fine young man he is and how proud you are, but he shone very brilliantly here at the award dinner. And John Bright will hold. The press are gathered around. In the background, you can see hands on hip Roger Nelson and Russ Jackson a bit over to the right. All right, getting ready now for the official kickoff, the traditional kickoff. Some pressman may be in for some trouble here. You may have a picture of a football right in the lens. And now before the kickoff, the national anthem. roar comes up from the more than 33,000 fans here for the first Grey Cup in the Canadian National Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. We've had the traditional kickoff, the Prime Minister being congratulated by those in the official party and also the Shenley Award winners, Johnny Bright, Russ Jackson, Roger Nelson. Everyone is moving off the field, the Cat Marching Band, the color party, the official party, the players taking that last-minute jog to get themselves up, get themselves warm, get themselves excited, although I don't believe either side really needs it. The Bombers have moved back defensively. They have their two deep backs along the 5, two forward backs at around the 28-yard line, linemen up along the center field stripe. Cats have lined up defensively. Fans still coming into the park. There'll probably be some standing room in the corners. The field, as we said earlier, in fairly good shape, a little greasy, but should not in any way detract from the play today. The weather in the low 30s. It's a bright, sunshiny day. A few clouds coming overhead, but it should be bright and shiny most of the afternoon. The wind blowing from the west. We're just about ready to go. Here's your play-by-play commentator for the first quarter, Ted Reynolds.
Chet Mixer will kick off for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Graham marking the ball. Mixer comes up, kicks from his own 45. At the 20-yard line, the ball picked up by Jerry James. Mixer down very quickly underneath the kick, and James got it back to the Winnipeg 28-yard line, where it's Bombers 1st and 10.
Tackle by Mixer, 1st and 10 on the Winnipeg 28.
Look at the Hamilton defensive line. Kenny playing at quarterback, and Shepard is flanked wide out to the left. First play of the game is the handoff to Shannon. Turns in, and Shannon is across the 30-yard line. He was stopped by number 81, the right corner linebacker, Steve Honestchuk, who, as Steve told you, is in his familiar starting position in the Hamilton defensive team. It's 2nd down, 7 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers with the 1959 Grey Cup game just underway. Both halves flanked very wide this time. Lewis left, Shannon right. The give is to Charlie Shepard. Shepard fighting his way as close to the first down.
Shepard, stop by. And James.
Don Paquette was in on the tackle, along with Karst. And the ball is across the 37-yard line. And here is the first measurement of the 1959 Grey Cup game. It's very close to a Winnipeg first down. The head referee is Paul Dojak of Regina. The ball, that's just about the length of the football, short.
About 8 inches short.
Charlie Shepard, who led the kickers as far as averages were concerned with an average of 43 plus this past season, is the punter for Winnipeg. And the Winnipeg deep men, Wood and Howell, have now moved back up as Winnipeg comes out in running formation. Then a fake as they shift. There's a marker. Quarterback sneak. And everybody got all piled up that time. An offside penalty against the Tiger Cats. So there's your first bit of Grey Cup strategy as Bud Grant sent his club out in a running formation, then shifted Shepard back. The Hamilton club came offside, and it doesn't matter how you get the first down as long as you do. They did. 1st and 10 at their own 43.
44.
Make it 44, 1st and 10, Blue Bombers. Plains handoff is to Leo Lewis going wide. 45 and down at the 45-yard line. Number 54 is Ernie Danjean. Ralph Golston, who was wearing number 80 this year, also in on the tackle. This Grey Cup game in Toronto just underway with less than 2 minutes gone. Second down for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as Lewis flanks wide out to the left. The first pass of the game as Plain fakes the pass, starts to run. And Plain is up across the Winnipeg, or out of the Hamilton at midfield into the Hamilton end of the field by about 2 yards. He was finally stopped by Eddie Bevan on a rather stop-and-go, herky-jerky run. Plain dropped back to pass and decided to run himself. He got the first down. It's Winnipeg, 1st and 10. Plain has Shannon out to the left. Jerry James, headlong, lands right on top of his head across the Hamilton 50-yard line. The ball is being spotted just outside the 50. The tackle was made by John Barrow, 240-pound Eastern All-Star. Second down, 7 yards to go. Winnipeg. They have the ball in the Hamilton end of the field. Shannon, a flanker, wide left. Plain rolls to his right. Meant for Pitts. Good at the 35-30. And Pitts, in a play a little reminiscent of one last year that was very controversial, tried a sideline dance and was finally pushed out of bounds by Eddie Macon down at the Hamilton Tiger Cats' 27-yard line. First and 10, Winnipeg there, and that play looked a lot like one last year when Pitts took a pass from Van Pelt. He went all the way that time, darting and dancing, but was also ruled out. Shepard is a flanker left. Right up the middle goes Jerry James. As they unfile with James getting across the 25, the veteran Vince Scott was the man who made the stop. The ball is spotted midway between the 22 and 23-yard lines. Make it second down, 6 yards to go. Bombers haven't given up the football since they took over from the opening kickoff. Kenny Plain has a flanker left. The pitch is to Shepard. Shepard dives forward across the 20-yard line before he's stalked by Steve Honestchuk. It's a first down for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Winnipeg, 1st and 10. Honestchuk stopped Big Shepard at the 16-yard line. And Plain, staying mainly on the ground, but with one good pass play, has the Bombers moving very early in this game. Shepard again, hitting the right side of that Hamilton defensive wall. John Barrow again in to make the stop. Shepard was one of the outstanding fullbacks, as well as the outstanding kicker in the West this year. No score, 5 minutes have elapsed in the first quarter. Winnipeg threatening. Faked handoff. He's going to pass. Deep, deep down in the end zone was Carver Shannon. Way overthrown. Eddie Macon covering Shannon, and Plain overthrew him by a considerable margin. So the Ticat defense is stiffened. It's 3rd and 7. Jerry James will attempt a field goal from directly in front of the goalposts, kicking off the 21-yard line. It's down, it's up. It is good. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers lead the Hamilton Tiger Cats by a score of 3-0. just over 5 minutes gone in the first quarter of the game.
East or West, BA products and service are best. And East or West, whatever the final is today, the opening minutes of this ball game with the Bombers moving right downfield so successfully for 3 points makes it look like we're in for the best football game of the year. Here's Ted.
3-0 for Winnipeg. We were talking about Nick Miller earlier, and Miller has come out at a defensive back spot. Okay, the first defensive play for Hamilton. Handoff was to Ralph Golston, and the tackle was made by Big Buddy Tinsley, number 64, the defensive tackle of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It's a gain of 2, 2nd and 8, Hamilton.
Tinsley, second down, 8 to go.
Gordy Rowland, who has been alternating at deep back and right corner, is back at his familiar spot. As Filoni is back to pass, the rush is on and he's dropped for a big loss back on the 30-yard line. Herb Gray came charging in there from his left end defensively to get around one of the Hamilton defenders and drop Bernie Filoni for a big loss. It's 3rd down now and 15.
About 14 to go.
CBC television coverage extending even farther this season than it did last, particularly out in the West, we know, to many of the communities getting the game live on CBC television for the first time this year. Cam Fraser back to kick. Ball is coming down to the bouncing at the Winnipeg 40. Jansen upended neatly, dropped on the 40-yard line. Hitting him with a beautiful tackle was Billy Graham. This is your coast-to-coast Grey Cup football telecast. Fraser's first punt of the ball game traveled 40 yards. Winnipeg scrimmaging the ball at their own 40, 1st and 10. Funston, the left end, is split off wide this time. Blaine dropping back to pass, and for Funston, knocked down, almost intercepted, up at the 50-yard line. Ralph Golston darting in there very quickly to cover Funston on the play. Incompleted at 2nd and 10, Winnipeg. Blue Bombers leading 3-0 on the 20-yard field goal by Jerry James. Field so far appears to be holding up fairly well. It looks a little greasy in spots. Blaine rolls to his left, fakes him. Fumble! Recovered by the Hamilton Tiger. Zeno Cart dove on top of that ball just inside the 25. It was meant for Charlie Shepard as Blaine faked the rollout, handed off on the reverse to Shepard. He never did have his hands on the ball, and on the Winnipeg 34, Karst dove headlong and a clean shot at it, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats take over.
Tiger Cats, 1st and 10 on the Bomber, 34.
All right, Filoni pitches to McDougall. McDougall has room. Sheer power carries Jerry McDougall inside the Winnipeg Blue Bomber 25-yard line. Finally stopped by Ron Meadmore. First down for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Some of the fans still coming in here at the CNE Stadium in Toronto. Pitch to the left this time. McDougall again, and he's dropped at the 20. A gain of 2. Pitch right, then a pitch left by Bernie Filoni, trying to spread the Winnipeg defenders. All right, this time, pitch is to Golston, and Golston moves to the 15. He was dropped by Ray Ross, moving up from his defensive back spot. McDougall got 6. Third down, 3 yards to go.
About 2.5 yards to go.
Winnipeg defense is set. The crowd yells, "Go for it." Filoni calls those signals. Pitches to McDougal. He can't pick it up. He finally grabs that ball, but it's nailed for a big loss back at the Winnipeg 24-yard line. Herb Gray in on top of him. And the Blue Bombers, who lost the ball on a fumble, recover on downs and take over again, 1st and 10 at their own 24. Winnipeg leading 3-0. Just past the midway point of the first quarter. No offensive changes for Winnipeg. They flank Leo Lewis wide right. Blaine gives it to Jerry James. Tries the left side. James across the 25 to the 27-yard line. He was stopped there by John Barrow, number 61. Barrow, very big at 240. Very fast for a man his size. One of the final candidates in this year's Outstanding Player balloting in Canada. Shannon is flanked right this time. 2nd down. Blaine throws complete at the 35. 40 to the 45 and wrestled out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Shannon was grabbed and hauled out of bounds. Ernie Danjean was over there, and also number 84, Dwayne Wood. The penalty marker. The officials are discussing it at the 39-yard line. The call is illegal interference. And it's 1st and 10 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at their own 35-yard line. The referee is Paul Dojak. Seymour Wilson of Hamilton, Bill Nairn of Winnipeg, and John Monroe of Toronto are the umpires. Ray Boucher of Ottawa is the field judge, and Taylor Patterson of Regina the head linesman. 1st and 10, Blue Bombers. They lead 3-0 past the midway point of this first quarter. Shepard, after having to wait to pick up his blockers, moves forward to the close to the 40-yard line, a gain of 5. Eddie Macon, number 90, making the tackle. Four minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the first quarter. 3-0 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and the uniforms beginning to get a little dirty. Blaine again on this reverse to Lewis, and it fooled no one in that Hamilton defensive unit that time. Lewis just got to the line of scrimmage and no farther. Eddie Bell, number 77, was right there. And Dave Szyminski. Howell and Wood, the deep men for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They're standing on their own 25-yard line. Charlie Shepard will kick off his own 27. Puts it away, and the spiral is high but not too deep. Picked up by Howell at the 42, and he gets across the 45-yard line.
Your neighborhood, Mr. B.A., has enjoyed bringing you televised football this year and really hopes that you're enjoying Grey Cup 1959. Well, you should, as these two fine teams block crisply, hit hard, and there should be lots of action ahead, just like we've had so far. Here's Ted.
Eddie Macon almost got to Charlie Shepard. He rushed him on that kick. There was a low snap, and the kick traveled only 28 yards from the line of scrimmage. Hamilton Tiger Cats are 1st and 10 at the 47. Trying the middle is McDougal. Give him 2. He moved almost to the Hamilton 50, stopped by Herb Gray. Various work done on the field prior to the game to try and absorb what moisture there was, but it was freezing up till about 2 hours ago. It's now melting a bit, making it slightly greasy. Filoni dropping back, lots of time to pass, and it's incomplete. Hobbled and danced around down by Harry Lampman, who was playing tit-tat-toe for about 5 seconds. He was being covered by 2
Third down.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Jim Trimble's back as he examines the situation with his club changing as the kicking team moves out onto the field to kick on third down with 8 yards to go. 3-minute whistle has just sounded. The Hamilton shift. Fraser dropping back inside his own 40. Fraser gets it away. Bounces at the 23. Jansen finally gets a hold of it. He didn't gain anything at all. Eddie Bevins, down very quickly underneath that punt, was the first man to hit him, in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers take over 1st and 10 on their, call it their 21. It's just outside their own 21-yard line.
21.
Fraser, who averaged over 44 this season in Big Four football, rooted that one 44 yards. Blue Bombers leading by a score of 3-0. There are less than 3 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Plain calls the signals. Fakes the handoff. He's going to throw. He has Farrell Funston, who can't reach the ball, up at the 45-yard line. Incomplete. Dwayne Wood was back, keeping a pretty close eye. Ralph Golston on the intended pass receiver, Farrell Funston. Second down, 10 yards to go. Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The ball between their 21 and 22. All right, quick kick. Shepard gets it away. It's high and a good kick, chasing those defenders back to their own 35. Eddie Macon gets across the 35 to the 37, where he is dropped. Leading the assault, Farrell Funston, the left end. This is your coast-to-coast Grey Cup football telecast. Charlie Shepard got 55 yards with a little help from the wind, kicking from the east end as he was on that quick kick. Hamilton Tiger Cats 1st and 10 at their own 37. Maloney's pitch to McDougall. McDougall finally finds running room and gets across the 45, down almost to the 48-yard line. Jack Delvo, the corner linebacker, tackled McDougall, but it is a first down, Hamilton. 1.5 minutes remaining to play unofficially in the first quarter. Winnipeg leading Hamilton 3-0. Flankers left and right up the middle this time for the Tiger Cats. Jerry McDougall, who's been the big man carrying the mail so far this afternoon for them. As they unpile, a bit of a consultation between officials and players. It's second down, 6 yards to go. Hamilton at the Ticat 52. Maloney sends a man in motion left, fakes the pitch. The handoff was to Ralph Golston, and Golston did not reach the midfield stripe. He was stopped by Steve Patrick, the middle guard.
And about 2.
It's third down 2, and the Hamilton kicking corps comes out. Deep men drop back. Jensen is number 12. And Ron Latterell, number 17, for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Fraser will kick off his own 43-yard line. Rather high snap. Came close to being blocked by the on-rushing Gray. It's fielded by Latterell. Latterell going wide. Gets to the 25, upended by Billy Graham again, who really hustles down underneath those punts.
Right there, kicking to Latterell, who was tackled by Graham. Bomber.
In the last minute of the first quarter, with Winnipeg leading by a score of 3-0. The unofficial time now is 32 seconds. Bombers first and 10, just outside their own 25-yard line. Lane looks over that Hamilton defense, drops straight back to pass this time. Swing out to the left, meant for Lewis, incomplete. He couldn't hang on to it.
Second down.
And there is probably time for one more play in this first quarter. Second and 10, Bombers. Backs in tight for Winnipeg this time. Looks like another quick kick. Shepard gets it away, and it's another good one. Chasing the Hamilton defenders back to their own 20. Dwayne Wood finally turns at the 17 with the football. Pursuit is on. He gets away from two men and is knocked down at the Hamilton 26-yard line. Burkholder was the man who finally got to him. A 68-yard kick by Charlie Shepard, as twice in a row Winnipeg takes full opportunity of what wind there is. At the end of the first quarter, the Blue Bombers lead 3-0. This is your Grey Cup football telecast coming to you from the Canadian National Exhibition Stadium in Toronto.
Here's to the everyday things that end up being everything. Here's to all things simple, with casual clothing and footwear from Marks.
Ward Cornell again from Toronto. In that first quarter, the Blue Bombers rushed for 47 yards. Hamilton for 26. The Blue Bombers picked up 23 through the air, none for the Ticats. 6 first downs to 2 for Winnipeg. With the second quarter, here's Steve Douglas.
Right, Ward, the Ticats first and 10 from their own 26-yard line. With the drive by Jerry McDougall right up the center, and the first man to make contact defensively was Roger Savoy, number 62 of the Blue Bombers. And McDougall picks up about 4 yards for second down and 6 to go. The ball is about halfway between the sideline stripes on the second play from scrimmage in the second quarter coming up. The Blue Bombers 3. The Ticats nothing on an early field goal by Jerry James of Winnipeg. Grant flanks on the far side. Howell is out this way. McDougall in motion. Maloney is trapped for the second time. And the man who wrapped him up was Steve Patrick, the 6-year veteran and one of the outstanding middle guards in Canadian football, number 63. The loss goes back to the 22-yard line. Third down coming up, about 14 yards to go. And Jansen and Latourelle will once again be on the punt receiving end for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. There they are, between midfield and the Winnipeg 50-yard line. The Hamilton Ticats continuing to employ the peculiar shift when Fraser comes into punt. He's standing on his 10-yard line. High boomer that Jansen comes in for, fumble, and it is covered finally by a Ticat after 2 or 3 of his teammates had a chance at it and lost the ball. And Hal Walker has the glasses on that big pile-up down there, and he says Eddie Bevan, one of the great veterans of Ticat football wars, who finally grabbed the football. The Ticats have the ball, first and 10, on the Winnipeg 52.5-yard line. And the clouds have cleared away once again, and the sunshine is bright again. Into action quickly. McDougall on the short pitch out. Is across the 50-yard line. Hit down on the 48. The pickup will be close to 4 yards on the play. Buddy Tinsley, the co-captain, one of the great defensive warriors of Winnipeg history. With the field today in a little bit greasy condition at spots, it's interesting to look back in the records of the Grey Cup and figure out how many times fumbles have played a great part. The record was 6 by Winnipeg in 1957 and by Ottawa in 1939. Poloni still got it. And he's going to try a shot that is into the arms of the intended receiver and right out again. And Gene Jones was the intended receiver. He was being guarded by Jack Delvaux, recent acquisition by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who startled all the Eastern Canada football fans in that frigid weather game, the final playoff against the Edmonton Eskimos, by playing with his shirt sleeves pushed up well above his elbows. A psychological twist by Mr. Delvaux. Jansen to the left, Latorelle to the right. And there at the 20-yard line at the Winnipeg end of the field. And Fraser has come off the Ticat bench. Cam is just inside his own 50-yard line. And now the receivers have moved back to the goal line. And Cam gets away a pretty good one. Latorelle at the 4-yard line. Across the 10, and he is squeezed down to the ground on the 15.
Bringing televised football to fans clean across Canada is Mr. B.A.'s way of saying thanks for your patronage. Shepard's kicking today. He's had 3, 28, 55, and 1 great 68-yard quick kick. Gives him an average at the present time of a little bit over 50 yards a try. Here's Steve.
Ward, that last one by Cam Fraser traveled 45 yards from the line of scrimmage. It was Chet Mixa who brought Latorelle down on the 15-yard line. It's Bombers 1st and 10 from that point. The pitch out by quarterback Kenny Plain, and the gain is negligible, stopped almost at the line of scrimmage. Jerry James was the ball carrier. The Ticats employing some changed defenses insofar as the forward wall is concerned this afternoon. They have moved Eddie Bell, normally left corner linebacker, up to left end defensively. They've switched Don Paquette, number 52, to right end. And they have Zeno Cars playing the left corner linebacking spot. Plain to Charlie Shepard, and the big fellow dives through a hole that opens up in the right side of his own line and met by left corner linebacker Zeno Cars of the Hamilton Ticats. This will leave the Bombers about 3 yards short of a first down and will send off the Hamilton Ticat bench Ron Howell to join his teammate in punt returns for the Ticats, Dwayne Wood. There's Howell, number 82, and Dwayne Wood at the top of your screen, number 84. Shepard is just inside his 10-yard line to kick. He hoists a real good one. Howell from the 42-yard line. And he's upended by number 71. That is Farrell Funston of the Blue Bombers, their fine left offensive end. And he dumped Howell on the 47-yard line, and Shepard continues his fine kicking with that one booming 46 yards from the line of scrimmage. Time remaining, about 11 minutes and 25 seconds unofficially. That clock here, of course, mainly for the benefit of spectators. The officials keep the correct time at the timer's bench. Pitch out is to Golston, looking for running room, puts his head down, is across the 50-yard line. Dave Burkholder, the University of Minnesota boy, stops him on the 51-yard line. His pickup will be just about 4 yards, 2nd down and 6 to go. Maloney pitching out to Jerry McDougall, starts wide, cuts back, and is stopped short of the 45-yard line, which will leave the Ticats with about 3 yards to go for a first down. One of the great defensive stars from the West, Herb Gray, number 53 of the Bombers, made the stop on him. So off the Ticat bench comes the kicking team. And from the Winnipeg bench on the other side of the field, those two boys, Jansen to the left, Latorelle to the right. As soon as Fraser shifts back into punt formation, the Winnipeg receivers go deep. They're about the 5-yard line now. Fraser gets a whale of a kick away. Latorelle right at the goal line. At the 5, 10, head down, and he is upended and finally stopped, and a little bit of roughness goes on down there as he's hit down on the 14-yard line. 56 yards from the line of scrimmage, that kick by Cam Fraser. And it was Billy Graham, one of the small men on the field at 5 feet 7 and 175 pounds, who is a demon downfield tackler, and that's why he's in the Hamilton Ticat lineup today after not seeing too much action all season long. The ball is on the hash marks, 20 yards in from the near side of the field. Winnipeg 14-yard line, Bomber possession. Kenny Plain, the quarterback, set to move. Jerry James upended as he hits the line of scrimmage. Sprawls high into the air. It was Johnny Barrow who got to him first.
James, stop by.
Pick up on the play by Barrow is good for a little more than 3 yards. Second and about 7 to go. Plain looking, throwing to Carver Shannon and overshooting him by a couple of yards. Defending on him for the Ticats on the far side of the field was Eddie Macon. So it comes third down and about 7. And Howell and Wood will team together once more for the Ticats as they have done all season long as punt return men. And Charlie Shepard, who owned a 43.1 average this year in Western Conference play, and who today has been slightly fabulous with his boots, is back on his own 5-yard line to kick. The Hamilton receivers, with the sun right smack in their eyes, are ready. It's blocked, and it's in the end zone. Vinny Scott chasing it. He loses the ball, and a great pileup occurs. Now let's watch and see what happens. Vince Scott, the great middle guard of the Ticats, broke through. It is 1 point, and it was Jack Delvaux of the Blue Bombers who recovered the ball after Scotty lost it in the Winnipeg end zone. Scott burst through tremendously, but the Ticats just get 1 point. This is your coast-to-coast Grey Cup football telecast. Bombers put the ball in play, leading now by 3 points to 1 from their 25-yard line. Jerry James, the ball carrier, getting nowhere as he tries the right side of the Hamilton defensive wall. Ernie Danjean, one of the linebackers, Eddie Bevan, Pete Newman, all in on the stop. 3-1, the Bombers over the Ticats. About 8 minutes, 45 seconds to halftime. Lewis is a very wide flanker for the Bombers toward the far sidelines. Plain himself, hands off to Lewis coming this way, and that end is open. And he goes sliding. And you saw what happened to the Ticat would-be tackler, who was the same Vinny Scott, who chased him out of bounds and got himself a mud bath at the same time. Lewis got 7 yards on the play for third, and 3 to go. Third down, 3. Howell and Wood. Howell at the bottom of your screen, Wood at the top. They are between the 35 and 40-yard lines at the Hamilton end of the field. Shepard is standing inside his own 20. High pass from center, and he got away a very nice kick. Chases Howell back over his shoulder catch at the 27. Bumped into bounds by Funston, and the officials mark it at the 34-yard line. First and 10 for the Hamilton Ticats from their own 34-yard line. Grey Cup 1959 from the CNE Stadium, Toronto.
And on this cold afternoon, we're getting great performances from both teams. Fine defensive work, great pursuit work by Tinsley along the Winnipeg line, and Scotty for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And for cold weather performance from your car, you can't beat BA Velvet 98 or 88 gasolines. Here's Steve.
Shepard's last kick was good for 50 yards. Maloney into the arms of Lon Howell, who, as you football fans remember, was his favorite receiver on long tosses in last year's Grey Cup game. And Gray makes the stop after the Ticats get the first down. Maloney's first completion for the Ticats this afternoon through the air. Ball is on Hamilton's 45-yard line. 20 yards in from the near sidelines as the Winnipeggers set their defense. And Kenny Payne is in there at the safety position for the Blue Bombers. And that thought hit Ted and hit me at the very same moment. Pitch out is to McDougall. He gets around Roland, and down he goes, and powers his way across the 45-yard line at the Winnipeg end of the field. Ray Ross, the number one man to get in there on the stop. And safety man Kenny Payne also helped out on the tackle. A fine run by fullback Jerry McDougall of the Ticats. Seven and a half minutes to halftime. 3-1, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Field goal by Jerry James. Filoni coming this way. Throws intended for McDougall. It is over his outstretched hands. Incomplete. Jack Delvaux was the man covering on him. And once again today, Delvaux, number 23, has got those sleeves pushed up beyond his elbows. The temperature here does not compare with that 4, 6, 8, whatever it may have been above zero in Winnipeg, but it's in the low 30s here and a little bit nippy. In the Hamilton backfield, Wood comes in to replace McDougall. Second down and 10 yards to go for the Ticats. They are just inside the Winnipeg 45-yard line. Grant flanks on the far side. Howell comes out this way. Wood goes in motion. Filoni. Throwing very deep, intended. Downfield for Ron Howell. It is incomplete. He got a big bang from defensive star Herb Gray of the Blue Bombers, and the pass was a little bit on the wobbly side, and it's 3rd and 10 for the Ticats. Winnipeg deep men getting set to the left. Jansen to the right, Latorelle. Jansen was Rookie of the Year with the Blue Bombers in 1959 WIFU football. Right now they're between the 15 and 20-yard lines, but they may move. As soon as they're sure that Fraser's going to kick, they pop back about 15 or 20 yards. Fraser will kick. And a beauty of a kick. Jansen about 4 yards inside. He's across the 5-yard line, spilled down on the 7. 49 yards from the line of scrimmage. It was Jim Taylor and Ernie Dangine who grabbed him on the 7-yard line. The Bombers put it in play 1st and 10 from that point. At 5 minutes and 18 seconds of the first quarter, a field goal by Jerry James. And then in this second quarter, a single point when Vince Scott blocked a Shepherd punt, went into the end zone, fell on the ball but lost control of it, and Delvaux recovered the ball for Winnipeg, and that's how the single was scored for Hamilton. Charlie Shepherd finds no running room as he tries just inside right guard. It was middle guard Vince Scott who grabbed him first. And his gain on the play is perhaps 1 yard for second down, 9 to go. The field here, with the exception of the sideline areas and a couple of spots, is holding up remarkably well today. That is Shepherd again, and when he appears to be stopped, that is when he pours on the speed, and a sudden burst took him up very close to the 16-yard line. Scott, the principal tackler, as the middle of the Hamilton defensive wall, gangs up on Charlie Shepherd. It is 3rd and about a yard to go. The Ticats expect to kick, and Howell comes off the bench.
20 yards to go.
Very little possibility that Coach Bud Grant would permit his ball club to gamble in a spot like this too deep in their own territory, and Shepherd is back to his own 3-yard line. A low bullet. It bounces on the 50, taken at midfield by Dwayne Wood, and he's hit almost immediately by Ernie Pitts. The Ticats will take it 1st and 10 from that point, a yard or so inside the 50-yard line at the Winnipeg end. This is your coast-to-coast Grey Cup football telecast. From the field and from referee Paul Dojak, the 5-minute signal has been given to both teams and to the stands here. Filoni pitches out to McDougall, who may throw. He grounds the ball. Now watch what they call it. It is recovered down there for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers by Steve Patrick. It was Jack Delbo, who wasn't being fooled on the play at all and rammed into Jerry McDougall. Appears as if they're going to call it intentional grounding. There was a penalty marker on the play. It is 2nd down and 20 yards to go. The ball is on the Ticat, 52.5. Filoni to McDougall, who came this way, tried to find his receiver, and hit by Delvo, and the officials ruled he intentionally grounded the ball. Filoni. Pass is intended down at the Winnipeg 35-yard line for Tommy Grant, and it goes incomplete. He's being checked defensively by Ray Ross. Prior to the start of today's ball game, Ted Reynolds mentioned the fact that Kenny Prane would like to see a lot of service today, and he has been in the safety spot defensively for the Blue Bombers most of the afternoon, in addition to quarterbacking all the way so far. The regular 2 punt receivers for Winnipeg, Jansen and Latorelle, are back around the 5 to 10-yard line. Fraser kicks another fine one. That Jansen comes up to the 15-4, fumbles, and falls on the ball. No matter how many new footballs come into the game and how well they are cleaned off on the sidelines by a man who is doing that job and that job only today, is still a little bit on the greasy side. Graham and Cars put the stop on Jansen as he brought the ball back to the spot marked down by the officials, the 18-yard line. 1st and 10 from that point with 3 minutes, 50 seconds to the end of halftime. Kenny Plain nailed on the 12-yard line Eddie Bevan, the number 1 man, to get in there and grab him. And number 61 was the other man. That's John Barrow. Incidentally, at halftime this afternoon, the Hamilton Ticats Marching Band and Majorettes will be the big display insofar as entertainment is concerned. James, and there could have been a little mix-up in that Winnipeg backfield. Plain and James came together for just a split second, but enough to knock off that timing. Vince Scott made the tackle on James, so it's 3rd down and about 16 yards to go. And a 3-minute signal has been given from the field. Again, the Hamilton receivers look directly into the rays of the sun. There they are, you saw them, Wood and Howell. Shepard stands on his own goal line. Wood took it on the 53, across, and dumped first by Farrell Funston. And the stop was completed down there on the 47-yard line by Frank Rigney and Rick Potter. It is Hamilton's ball on the Winnipeg 47-yard line, 20 yards in from the near side of the field. 2 minutes, 45 seconds to go, and Winnipeg leads the 59 Grey Cup by 3 points to 1. Flankers are left and right. Handoff is to Ghost, and the hole opens up. And he is filled, but hits down on the 39-yard line. The man who got to him first was Gordy Rowland. Hit him low around the ankles and just upended him. Gain on the play, about 6. 2nd and 4 yards to go. Grant flanks on the far side for the Ticats. Howell out this way. Wood in motion. Goldston carries. Grabbed around the ankles again and falls forward to the 35-yard line, which should give the Ticats a first down. And you saw the signal by referee Paul Dojak. Ralph Goldston, who carried the ball, is shaken up on the play. Jack Delvaux, part of the Winnipeg defensive brigade that put the stop on Goldston, dove in very hard from the side. Jerry McDougall is coming off the Ticat bench to take Goldston's place. Only in the latter stages of the season have the Ticats utilized Ralph Goldston to any degree in their offensive team. Both Jimmy Simpson and Pinky Lewis of the trainers department for the Ticats and club physician Dr. Jim Charters are out there working with him. And he's up. Off the field reasonably well under his own steam. It is first down for the Ticats in the nose of the football. An inch or two short of the Bomber 35-yard line. Time running out in the first half. 1 minute and 45 seconds left to go. Flankers right and left. Maloney pitches back to Wood. He's nailed. And he's hit hard by Seif Luning, who broke through the right side and grabbed him before he had any chance to start running. The loss in the play is 7 yards. It is second down and 17 to go. Bombers set their defense 5-4-3. The linebackers are not crowding up at all. A couple of them drop back a step or two. Expecting Filoni to go to the air here late in the first half. He does. Shooting for Jones, who got his right hand on it and tipped it over the head of the deep defender who was Ray Ross. Third down, 17 to go. The Winnipeg line is giving Bernie Filoni, the Hamilton quarterback, a mighty big rush. Bernie has been overshooting a couple of times and has had passes tipped. Fraser throwing complete to Lenny Chandler up to the original line of scrimmage and maybe a yard more, and that's all. And the minute flag has gone up on the sideline.
First down, Bomber.
The Blue Bombers take over first and 10 on the 35-yard line. Winnipeg entered the field less than 60 seconds to go. A report from the Hamilton bench indicates nothing wrong with Ralph Goldston, who was banged up a few plays back. Plain. Looking. Almost getting away, but 2 or 3 Ticats all had a piece of him and dragged him down on the 27-yard line. Vince Scott is in there, so is John Barrow. Numbers 53, 61, respectively. Loss on the play is 7 yards for second and 17. Lewis comes this side and Shannon to the far side for Winnipeg. Lane hit again, shakes the first man off and is nailed with a shoestring tackle back on the 25-yard line. Scott is the man who did it. Scott obviously is trying to make up for not controlling that football in the Winnipeg end zone here in the second quarter when he blocked the punt, went in, and saw the ball squirt out from underneath. And Delvaux covered it for the Bombers, and they gave up just 1 point. James had that 5-minute field goal in the first quarter for a 3-1 Winnipeg count now with seconds to go to the end of the half. Shepard on his 12-yard line to kick. Another low bullet that is taken and kicked back by Ron Howell. Picked up by Rick Potter, and he's dropped on the 6-7 yard line. That is the end. That is the last play of the first half of the 1959 Grey Cup game. With the score, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 3 and the Hamilton Tiger Cats 1. And this is your Grey Cup football telecast coming to you from the Canadian National Exhibition Stadium in Toronto.
Ward Cornell back at CNE Stadium in Toronto, Grey Cup 59. The team's still in the dressing room. The officials have come out. We're a few minutes away from the kickoff of the second half. Statistically, in that first half, it shows how strong the defensive units have been. Winnipeg have rushed for a total of 58 yards, Hamilton for a total of 29. Passes attempted by Winnipeg 6, completed 1, yardage gained 23. For the Ticats, they've thrown 9, completed 3, total 38 yards. The kicking average for Winnipeg, 46 yards, and for Hamilton, 44. And our two commentators, Ted Reynolds, Steve Douglas, have returned to our CBC telecasting booth, and I'd like to ask them their comments on that first half.
All right, Ward. Well, whatever there is that you can say, I'm quite sure you've already said, because with the score only 3-1 between these two high-powered football clubs after 30 minutes of action, there is obviously not a great deal that can be added. The breaks have been certainly against the Hamilton Tiger Cats so far, particularly, of course, when Vinnie Scott was unable to hang on to the squirming football, and instead of producing 6 points for his club on the blocked punt, was able to only hold the ball temporarily. Then Jack Delvaux came in and salvaged 5 points for his club. I suppose if you want to, you could call that a turning point if there has been one, or if there ends up where there's going to have to be one. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are now coming back out onto the field in their white, what's left of their white jerseys. Some of them are getting awfully dirty with the gold pants, and they move across to the far side, the south side of the CNE Stadium. All you can say is that the way things have gone, and with all the predictions that have been made up and down the length of Canada, it's obvious that there's got to be something erupt in the second half, because I don't think anyone dreamed for a moment that there would be only 4 points scored in the first half of this game.
Steve Douglas, what about you?
Well, I guess there could be, on behalf of Eastern football fans, a lot of if this had only happened and if that had only happened. Jerry McDougall slipped. In one case, when he had apparently a clear field on a sweep-around end, Harry Lampman juggled the ball, and Ted has already mentioned the case where Vinnie Scott, going into the end zone after blocking the kick himself, just was unable to handle the football, and Delvaux came in, and so only 1 point went on the scoreboard for the Ticats. I think the big thing so far about the ball game has been tremendous play along the line by both ball clubs, and I know that the members of the spectators division of football who are here this afternoon, and we haven't had an official count so far, are getting a great charge out of this game up to this point. The Ticats taking the field as the Bombers, you see, were huddled there around their own 40-yard line, and we'll have this third quarter going in just a few seconds.
Well, it should be a thriller as these two crunching teams fighting for the rubber game of a 3-game series over 3 years. The Tiger Cats won in 57, the Bombers last year, and 30 minutes from now, we'll know who it is in 59. We're just about ready for the kickoff. Here's Ted Reynolds.
Macon, Howell in the center, and Dwayne Wood, the deep men for Ticats, standing around their own 10, and Jerry James will move up to kick off. He does it left-footed, drives a bullet that Jerry McDougall fields at the 30-yard line. Turning to his left, McDougall moves back right to the 40 of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and trailing 3-1, the Ticats take over first and 10 there. Cease Linning, the defensive end, is down to make the stop. And Bernie Filoni comes out as the Winnipeg club huddles defensively. Number 53, who so far has been playing his usual exceptionally stout defensive game, is Herb Gray. flanker very wide right now for Hamilton. As the second half gets underway, Filoni fakes the quick toss. Now it's a long pass, about 8 yards out in front of his intended receiver, Tommy Grant, who was away down about the 23-yard line, and the ball went even farther than that, 2nd down and 10. Gordy Rowland dropped off his right corner spot and accompanied Grant all the way downfield. That was the longest pass attempted by many yards so far this afternoon. All right, 2nd and 10. Filoni swings it out to McDougald. And a lusty collision between McDougald and Jack Delvo. And there's no gain. There's a loss of about a yard, making it 3rd and 11. Hamilton at their own 39, and the kicking team is in. Latterell, 17, Jansen, 12, are standing at the 35, but now drop back as Fraser comes back into punting position on his own 27-yard line. Gets it away, very high. Bounced outside the 35, and there's a penalty marker as the Hamilton players were caught by a bad bounce. The Winnipeg receiver had to move forward about 10 yards to get hold of the ball as it almost went down and stayed in the mud. Hamilton questioning the play, and the penalty is declined. Fraser was the kicker was one of the first men down there. That was the question put to the officials by the Hamilton club. The penalty declined. It's 1st and 10 on the 40-yard line. But it is not declined. The penalty was rescinded as Fraser was ruled down there. He was the punter. Charlie Shepard hitting the right side of the Hamilton line for a gain of about 3. Ernie Dangine, wearing number 54 in the black and gold of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, made the stop. Vince Scott has injured his hand by the looks of things, and Bud Grant is alternating his guards a little bit, sending in plays. 2nd down, 7. Lewis is flanked right. Handoff is to Charlie Shepard again, and Shepard moves across the 45, Eddie Bevan, tackling him there. Gain of about 3. It's 3rd down, 3 yards to go, Winnipeg. The second half of this football game just underway. The temperature apparently diminishing a bit. The deep men are back. Number 82 is Ron Howell. Number 84 on the far side of the field is Grant. Shepard gets away a very high, wobbly kick for not much distance. Again, Winnipeg players trying to get out of the way, and that was Shepard who came darting in there, so we may have the same type of thing as we had last time. The marker was dropped, but it could be a rough play call against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We'll wait until the officials decide and make their ruling on the play. It is against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for rough play.
During this timeout, this reminder, light up a Rothman's King Size, the world's largest selling king-size Virginia cigarette.
Karst is the player shaken up. The penalty is for rough play against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And that moves the ball back inside Winnipeg's territory at the Blue Bomber 53-yard line, a 15-yard penalty. Tiger Cats have it there, 1st and 10. They trail 3-1. And the Hamilton supporters are now beginning to whoop it up. All right, Filoni is going to throw at the 50. Golston moves to the 45-yard line. Hit and stopped right there by Garland Warren, the inside linebacker, and for the past 2 or 3 years, one of the star inside linebackers in Western football. Warren, the player who made the tackle was shaken up a bit and has been replaced by Walt Balicki. Now, Golston, the player who was carrying the ball in that play, was also shaken up. For the second time, he was injured slightly in the second quarter. Steve Honestchuk moves in on offense, and Bud Grant is also making some changes in his defensive alignment. Filoni is 4 for 11 in the passing department. Second down and about a yard to go. No more. Filoni gives the handoff to Dwayne Wood, and Wood moves for about 7. He only needed 1 for the first down, and the Ticats are moving down deeper into Winnipeg territory. They have the ball, first and 10, at the Winnipeg 37-yard line. They have played 3 minutes of the third quarter. And the Hamilton Thousands beginning to get the feeling of the thing. Man in motion left, the pitch out again to Wood. And that time he couldn't get around Gordy Rowland. And Walt Balicki, number 47, also there to make the tackle for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It's second down, 12 yards to go. A 2-yard loss. And the field, we don't believe, is in any worse condition than it was at the beginning of the game. Still the odd greasy spot. Faked handoff by Filoni. Tries to get away from Gray. Does, on a good block. Filoni still going. And he finally tripped over one of his own men. The man he tripped over was number 73, Harry Lampman. Filoni got a fine block to get away from Herb Gray, who was in hot pursuit. There's little or no gain on the thing after all that running by Bernie Filoni. It's third down and still about 11 yards to go. Cam Fraser will have the wind with him for this punt. The deep man, who as usual, Latterell and Jansen, were standing at the 10, have now dropped back about 10 yards inside their own end zone. And Fraser shows the reason why as the ball is fielded and then brought out to the 4 by Latterell, who skids along in the mud of the track. He fielded that ball 4 yards deep in his own end zone, was knocked down by Don Paquette into touch by Paquette. And the Bombers take over after the 43-yard punt by Cam Fraser inside their own 5-yard line. And they've seen very little of the field past about their own 40 since the first quarter. They lead by a score of 3-1. Blaine shoots Leo Lewis, flanking wide out to the right. Gives the ball to Charlie Shepard, and Shepard slipped but got around the corner, cutting in across the left side of the Hamilton line. Eddie Bevan, number 51, stopped him. The gain was 5. It's second down, 5 yards to go, Winnipeg. Farrell Funston, the left end, is split off 10 yards this time. Pitch. And it's not enough for the first down. Lewis turned the corner on the left side. Was stopped up close there. Vince Scott was in on it. John Barrow. Pete Newman. The Hamilton receivers are Ron Howell, number 82. And Dwayne Wood, number 84. Saw them standing at the Winnipeg 52. Shepard will kick from inside his own end zone. That was almost blocked. Gets away a very short kick, fielded by Howell, who's at the 40, and leaps out of bounds and across a small lake at the 36-yard line. This is your coast-to-coast Grey Cup football telecast. Okay, quickly, the pitch to Jerry McDougal. McDougal trying to follow his blocking, but went for only about 2 yards before being dropped by Walt Balicki, who is still in there. It's a gain of 2, second down, 8 yards to go, Hamilton. Again, they have the ball inside the Winnipeg 35-yard line. Pitch to Bernie Poloni to Jerry McDougal has been Poloni's favorite offensive weapon so far this afternoon. Straight back to pass, gets it away complete at the 24-yard line. Harry Lampman hauled the ball in at the 24, was dropped right there. And it's a first down for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who are continuing to threaten here in the third quarter. They trail by a score of 3-1. Pitch again to McDougal. He's got good blocking this time. Gets away from one man, 15-10. McDougal gets inside the 10. And is finally hauled out of bounds at about the 7-yard line. Farrell Funston finally got to him. Make that Kenny Plain, who's playing in the safety slot. Number 11, moving back into the Winnipeg Blue Bomber defensive huddle, and McDougal moved to the 7. This is as close to pay dirt as the Hamilton club has been so far today. First and goal to go, Hamilton. Wood is caught before he can move. He was grabbed that time by number 73 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Cease Looning, the defensive end. Again, a consultation. Poloni standing in there representing Hamilton. Bud Tinsley, number 64, the defensive captain for Winnipeg. The ruling is the Bombers offside. Poloni still talking to referee Dojak. And that moves the ball inside the Winnipeg 5. It is placed just outside the Winnipeg 3-yard line, where it's first down and goal to go, Hamilton. Winnipeg with a 7-man line. Flankers left and right. McDougal hits to the 2, or inside the 2, driving to the left side of the Winnipeg line. It'll be second down and about 2 yards to go. Barrow just coming into the Hamilton huddle. Herb Gray made the stop on McDougal. Gray is number 53. Now they have 13 men to assist them in defense. One of them is the blue-wrapped goalpost. As they're just to the left of the Winnipeg goalpost, it's second down. Poloni calls those signals. Again, it's McDougal, and he was tripped up. Fine tackle by Jack Delvo, who came driving in there. Number 11 just getting up slowly is Kenny Plain, who's playing an awful lot of defense as well as calling the entire game offensively. And Steve Onschuk is now coming onto the field, which means a field goal attempt by the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They are in excellent position right now to move ahead by 1 point in the ball game. The attempt will be from directly in front of the goalposts, and Onschuk will have to kick the football only 10 yards. Poloni holding right on the 10. Down, up, it is good. And the Hamilton Tiger Cats lead the Winnipeg Blue Bombers here at the CNE Stadium by a score of 4-3. Seven minutes and 10 seconds remaining in the third quarter. So the Bombers take over the football, 1st and 10 at their own 35. Twice before in Grey Cups there have been 4-3 final scores. Those were records. All right, the pitch on this side. Lewis cuts back inside, and Lewis getting across the 37, met by 3 Hamilton Tiger Cat defenders, led by Vince Scott, inevitably. Steve Onischuk. Onischuk playing that right corner almost all the way. And Vince Scott, as we pointed out a couple of times, and as he always does when the chips are down, playing another sterling defensive game. Lewis flanks wide right for Winnipeg. Blaine drops straight back to throw. Can't throw, can't run, and it's caught by Vince Scott. Eddie Bevan also in there. That Winnipeg offense is just not able to move out that stout Hamilton wall. Ron Howell and Wood standing back at the 30-yard line. Shepard will kick off his own 25. It's a high wobbly snap. Again, a bad kick by Shepard that bounces into touch at the Hamilton 50. They'll have to change that football. That one will be quite dirty.
Havel Rothman's king size. First in Canada, first in the world. The ball is at the 50-yard line, and it's first down for Hamilton.
Charlie Shepard, who was having a wonderful time kicking the ball, except for the block in the first half, got that one only 23 yards. Hamilton, 1st and 10. They lead 4-3. Winnipeg player was offside, whether he got back on. The handoff was to Wood, and Wood hits forward to midfield. Buddy Tinsley. Big Winnipeg tackle. Tackling Wood. A gain of 5. It's 2nd down and 5 yards to go. Hamilton. Bernie Filoni dropping back to throw. It's complete to Howell at the 45-yard line of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He's stopped there by Norm Rawhouse. And it's a first down, Hamilton. Hamilton, 1st and 10. Filoni pitched to McDougall again. He's got those blockers out in front of him. Bud Tinsley finally got over there and shoved him down, along with number 44, Gar Warren. And there's a Hamilton player shaken up just briefly, but just a little bit winded. He was not injured or down long enough to require medication. Dave Szyminski, the Winnipeg defensive huddle. Speaking of punting averages, as we were a moment ago, the best ever was in 1937 by Bob Isbister of the Argos, 52.3 yards average in a Grey Cup game. 2nd down and 8 yards to go. Filoni straight back to pass again. Gets it away too high for the intended receiver. Fielded on the half volley by Kenny Plain, meant for Ron Howell. So it's 3rd and 8, Hamilton. And again, the toe of Mr. Fraser comes into the football game. Hamilton leading by a score of 4-3. CBC television coverage of the 1959 Grey Cup game on the shores of Lake Ontario, and there's a big crowd. There's the deep men, Jansen and Lateral for Winnipeg, and as always, they drop back about 15 after waiting for Cam Fraser to shift back. Gets away his 11th punt of the game. It, too, is almost to the end zone. Not quite. Latterell fielded it at the 4, across the 10, and he is down at about the 12-yard line. This is your coast-to-coast Grey Cup football telecast. Winnipeg huddling inside their own 5. The ball will be scrimmaged at the Blue Bombers' 12-yard line. They trail 4-3. Playing with the last word to Charlie Shepard. Just to show he wasn't fooling, gives the ball to Shepard, who tries to turn the right corner. Make that Lewis, not Shepard. He got around that corner up to about the 16-yard line. Stop there. We'll wait and see. They'll spot the ball at the 17. Lewis, the halfback, who was held in tight that time. 3-minute whistle. Second down, 5 yards to go. Leo Lewis flanks left this time for the Bombers. Up to the 22, 23-yard line. Carver Shannon, who was at the full gallop, and it's a first down for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Vince Scott made the tackle on Carver Shannon. Good opportunity to watch that peculiar running style of his. Very high knee action. 1st and 10, Winnipeg. Lewis again, trying to turn that corner on the right side and can't get around it. Met by 2 men, stopped and held. John Barrow was the man who led the tacklers. The gain by Leo Lewis, 2 yards. Second down, 8 yards to go. Less than 3 minutes left in the third quarter. 4-3 Winnipeg. 4-3 for Hamilton. Lewis is flanked way out to the left this time. A fake by Plain. Now he decides to run. Caught and run out of bounds by Zeno Karts for a rather large loss on the play. He was pushed out at his own 17-yard line. Third down and 14 yards to go for the Bombers. Howell and number 84, Dwayne Wood, are standing at their own 50. Plain on 5 straight occasions now has been dropped for a loss. Shepard kicking off the 4, gets it away, angling it toward Howell. Howell has it. Ronnie Howell still going. The 45, 40. Oh, a terrible mud bath down there on the track. Howell managed to stay relatively clean in that one. It was the 2 Winnipeg players, Gordy Rowland and also Frank Rigney, who got a real bath down in the mud. Good run back by Ronnie Howell at 1st and 10, Hamilton at the Winnipeg 40. Bernie Filoni throwing complete to Howell, 25. And he was pushed out of bounds by Norm Rawhouse right at the 25. 1st and 10, Hamilton. Unofficial time, 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Hamilton leading by a score of 4-3, threatening here. Pitch to McDougall. McDougall caught from behind by Bud Tinsley and Gar Warren. He got across the 25 to about the 22. The flag is up. Angelo Mosco, number 62, is the big fellow who's been trying to lead McDougall around that corner on just about every one of those pitches to the left. Second down and 7. Hand off to McDougall again, and McDougall gets to the 20. Steve Patrick made the tackle. Unofficial time now is half a minute, and Steve Honestchuk has moved off the bench. It looks like another field goal attempt. There is also an injured player, an injured Tiger Cat.
Ball is on the Bomber 20.
Honestchuk's toe put the Tiger Cats ahead 4-3 in this quarter, and it appears that he's going out to try and make it 7-3. Still working on the injured Hamilton player. Dave Saminsky, who was shaken up a little while ago but did not leave the field, was the player injured. He is coming off under his own steam. Third down, Hamilton. They have the wind with them. Ball being scrimmaged from the 20, and Honestchuk will attempt the field goal from the 27-yard line. Bernie Filoni holding almost directly in front of the goalpost. It is good. And the Hamilton Tiger Cats take a lead of 7-3. Hamilton flag waving along the sideline. Two field goals by Steve Honestchuk in this third quarter have put the Hamilton Tiger Cats out in front. They trail 3-1 at halftime. Bombers will scrimmage from their own 35. Kenny Plain calling those signals. Handoff was to the fullback, Jerry James. And the gun ends the third quarter. And the score now is the Hamilton Tiger Cats 7 and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 3 at the end of three quarters of this 1959 Grey Cup game. This is your Grey Cup football telecast coming to you from the Canadian National Exhibition Stadium in Toronto.
Here's to the everyday things that end up being everything. Here's to all things simple, with casual clothing and footwear from Marks.
Ward Cornell with you again. CNE Toronto 59, Grey Cup. 4 points separate these two teams as we start the fourth and final quarter. Here's Steve Douglas.
All right, Ward, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have the ball, second down, a little more than 6 yards to go from their own 38-yard line. Lewis throwing on the run, complete to James, who is dumped as he crosses the 45-yard line. Eddie Macon, the man for the Ticats, who put the stop to the advance by Jerry James. It's a Blue Bomber first down, 1 yard past their 45-yard line on the first play from scrimmage in the fourth quarter. The score is 7 for the Ticats of Hamilton and 3 for the Blue Bombers of Winnipeg. Plain is the quarterback. Shannon is the ball carrier. Look at him turn the speed on. Wood chasing him and grabbed him up around the shoulders and wrestled him down to the ground near the far sideline. First down for the Bombers on the march. From the early minutes of the first quarter, the Western fans here in Toronto have not had too much opportunity to hoot and holler today. Now they start to make themselves heard. Lewis, the Lincoln locomotive, is down to the 40-yard line. A nice run as he started out wide to the far side and then cut back sharply, met by Don Paquette. Today playing defensive right end for the Ticats, and Pete Newman, who has dropped off to a corner linebacking spot. It is second down and roughly 2 yards to go, right on the 40-yard line, and they've brought the ball 20 yards in from the far side of the field. And the roar from the Western fans increases. Shepard tries the right side. He may have that first down. Linebacker Ernie Danjean, number 54, is on that tackle, and they'll come up with a measurement. Dwayne Wood also got on it. Measurement coming. That is only the second measurement of the afternoon. The first came early in the first quarter, now early in the fourth. Here's number 2. Referee Paul Dojak supervises it. Short by inches. The other officials working with Paul Dojak today, the umpires are Seymour Wilson of Hamilton, Bill Nairn of Winnipeg, John Monroe of Toronto, the field judge is Ray Boucher of Ottawa, and the head linesman is Taylor Patterson of Regina.